Big up, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We are Tottenham TV, the only place to be for not only the pre-match pump-ups, for the watch-along, for the match reaction show. It's all here. You don't need to move. Just grab a brew or a beer or whatever you're drinking and just chill with us whilst we pump you up for the Tottenham Bournemouth game. I'm joined today by Jimbo, as always, and Nick as well, Lazy A, and Deji, who hasn't turned up yet, but I'm hoping he wears this shirt because I'm feeling a bit like a sore thumb at the minute. But Jimbo, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, darling. Looking forward to the game. 3 out of 3, very confident.
Let's hope so. Nick, how you feeling?
I'm in the most dangerous position it is to be for a Tottenham supporter, which is confident, man. You know, how often does that turn pear-shaped for us? But I am feeling confident. I'm a little worried about that, if I'm going to be honest, you know. But we got a new manager, man. It's a new season, and it's a very new look Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Yeah.
Man. You know, we're making big signings, not just out of nowhere. You know, it is out of nowhere, but huge signings. And man, what a boost that's going to be for the faithful walking into that stadium today. And I wish I was in that number, so to speak.
Me too. Me too. Just going to start off. I mean, have you ever been out of a night time and you found this bird that you like or fella, and you've grafted and grafted and grafted? You bought them drinks all night and you've chatted them up, and then right at the last minute, someone you really hate goes home with her, and you think, oh my God, I'm heartbroken. I'm never going to get over this. But after a week, your mates ring you up and say, you've got to get back on the horse and try and find someone new. You go in the pub, you see this worldie that's even better than the one last week. You literally buy them, him, her, a drink, and they go home with you. This is what's happened. Eze bumped us off, didn't want us. We've gone back in the pub. We've given him a call. He's answered the call, and we have signed what can only be described as probably one of the best signings for years and years, a player that hasn't even hit his prime yet, in Javi Simons. Nick, what's your thoughts on this new signing?
Well, I can't relate to that, walking home with the better bird scenario, because nothing like that's ever happened to me. You know, I get very little rejection walking down the block. But yeah, I understand. Look, is there some possible world in where this was supposed to be what happened? Like, was there a plan? Was it an Eze thing just that never really going to happen? Was I spending the last 18 months, really? Forget about the last 6, was it 18 months pulling the 2 remaining hairs out of my scalp? Thinking we got to get this guy, and it was never ever on, and we were always trying to get something else. I don't know. Is it a Paratici thing? Is there just a coincidence that all of a sudden he's ready, he's taking the reins now, and this has happened? I'm not so sure, but I'm gonna go back to what this is. Feels like a very new. We felt the curse of Levy all over the last 6 weeks. You know, tripping over his own feet, thinking he's MC Big Bullocks, and he ends up being DJ No Clue. But it looks like there is a long-term correction plan in action, and I swear to God, I hope that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Look, I mean, there's been talk, Jimbo, that the whole Eze thing was a bit of a smokescreen. Get Arsenal to buy him. You know, he's 27, and then we've gone in and got a 22-year-old Simons for less money. I mean, I think these are a lot of conspiracy theories, but how good a signing is Javi Simons for us?
Yeah, I don't buy into that about Eze. Eze wanted Arsenal. They said the deal was done with Tottenham. He just had to sign, and but he done a last-minute call to Arteta, and that's the rest is history. But look, I said to you, Kate, many times, you know, so things happen for a reason. You never know what's around the corner. And when we lost Eze, I said it was meant to be. We weren't meant to have him. And the reason I knew we wasn't meant to have him because we've been chasing him for 4 years and still hadn't come, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, we get gazumped by Arsenal. So there was a reason not to get him, and the reason is called Xavi. So
yeah,
it's all worked out in the end. And I was watching three Arsenal guys talking about it this morning, and one of them said, which was really so true, he said, I think that it worked out well for both teams because Arsenal needed an established Premiership 10, and Tottenham with this new look needed someone a bit younger who's got plenty of flair that is you know, going to grow into the team over the next few years, whereas they wouldn't be able to do that. Right, he would have to be a hit now with his age, and he was spot on. I think Arsenal got what they needed, and we got what we needed. So both clubs should be happy.
Yeah, I mean, Simons, £51.8 million, came from Barcelona's academy, been PSG, PSV, RB Leipzig, with an 82.9% passing accuracy last season. You know, a lot of the times you bring these foreign players in, Nick, people say, oh, well, they've got to do it in the Premier League. You know, he has got to prove himself in the Premier League, but
Absolutely.
he has played in some big leagues.
Yeah, and he's played in some big games and on big stages. I mean, the Euros last year. You know, I was trying to go back, and am I mistaken in that match versus France, the Holland versus France match? I don't know if you watch it. It was not a good game of football at all. And as I recall, he's the only person on the pitch for that 90 minutes that actually looked like they were there to play and try to win the match.
Yeah.
And you know, and I've been kind of hyper focused on what he's doing and where he's going since then. And I can't believe that he's putting on a Tottenham shirt since then. It doesn't feel like he's the type of person that's going to need an acclimation period, like a bedding in period. Like he's ready to go right now. And clearly he was ready to leave that Leipzig team. They have a lot of work to do, and I'm not worried about them at all. They come from, a financially doping institution. So for them, you know, getting rid of their stars and rebuilding again is nothing. So he's clearly, not only has he got the talent, it seems like he's got a fairly solid head on his shoulders about who he is and where his career is going. And he knew that it was time for him to go, you know, and that's why we didn't even pay over the odds for him. We paid a fantastic price. Yeah,
I agree. Look, it's exciting. He's due to be unveiled today at the Hotspur Stadium, so that will be brilliant. I'd love to be there and see him. To see his video of him walking out and looking at the stadium was brilliant. And I agree. I think he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He seems quite a humble guy, but we shall see. We shall see. It's obviously Bournemouth today. I did do, where have I put it? I did do my predicted 11 because the teams will be out anytime. Oh, Deji's here. Before we go on to the Bournemouth game, big up, Deji. Good to see you, sir.
Right, Jim. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the late arrival. I'm just preparing my son for the future of Spurs. I reckon he could be a Javi Simons in the making. So I was out there doing that.
Nice one.
For the late arrival.
Nice one. I see you got Kate's message about the uniform today.
Yes, see, we're representing the new away shirt.
Yeah, that's right.
Jim, that's a challenge. We can't let them take over the show. All right.
Deji, before we move on to the Bournemouth game, just quickly give us your thoughts on the Javi Simons signing.
For me, I think it's an absolute massive signing for our club. And I say, he who laughs last laughs best. That's an old proverb that I'm going to be sharing here. And for me, you know, I think it's the classic case of the tortoise and the hare, because when you think of Javi Simons, really and truly, you're thinking of the biggest clubs in world football. And I'm not knocking us because we're up there, but Javi Simons is a Man City type signing. He's a Real Madrid, Barcelona type signing. And for Tottenham to get that over the line, I think that's a massive statement by the club. Even if it's by chance, by default, you know, we didn't go for Eze. But what is so astonishing about this whole transaction, this whole deal, is we probably got the best player that we were linked with for the cheapest price. That's the craziest thing. But Javi Simons, I did a podcast yesterday and I said he is so big that he's got to wear the number 7 shirt. And literally hours later, it's confirmed he's wearing the number 7. And I reckon what Thomas Frank sold to him was the fact that you're coming to Tottenham Hotspur. One, you're going to be playing every game, but you are coming to be the main man at our club and carry our club on your shoulders with the likes of Kudus and Pellegrini and everybody else. And he said, you know what? Say no more. I'm here. I'm ready to do the job. And look, I think it's a massive statement. And look, I don't remember Spurs paying £185,000 a week off the bat. I mean, the closest was Ndombele, but you know, so that's a real statement of intent from Spurs. And apparently the job isn't done. We're still looking to do some more business, which is crazy. So I think it's exciting times.
Yeah, and of course he can play as a 10 and a left winger and a right winger. So he's got the flexibility option there as well. The Bournemouth team has actually just come out.
One more thing, just quickly, just one more thing. I think the thing that I got from Javi Simons, and I was watching a guy called ACFC something, and he was showing it just when Chelsea were preparing, showed clips of him when he played against Bayern Munich. This boy is not only full of flair, he works his socks off. So he's the right identity for what we want. It's a hard working Spurs team, and he is just the cherry on top.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. But as I said that, the Tottenham team came out as well. And we have Vicario in goal, Palhinha, Richarlison, Romero, Kudus, Johnson, Porro, Spence, Sarr, Bentancur and Van de Ven. It's exactly the team I picked, except I had Bergvall in there. So I wasn't far away. But on the bench, we've got Kinski, Danso, Tell, Udogie, Gray, Bergvall, Solomon, Odobert, and Davis.
Solomon.
I love it.
Jimbo, what's your first thoughts on the team?
Yeah, it's much what I expected, Kate. So it's as good as we can put out there. You know, if you change one or two of them around, it'd still be about the same strength. So yeah, a good, strong, solid team. You know,
yeah,
I was going to say, who comes out for Chevy?
Well, the knee-jerk reaction has got to be left side right now with the team the way it is. You know, it's got to be Johnson. Though, you know, necessarily, there's been a lot of talk about whether it's the midfield or the wings where he's going to be his most effective for us. But I really think it's a 50-50 right now. And, you know, he's got the right manager. If he's got the right attitude to be able to be pushed around the field, the front line that way, which I really hope so, because we need it. You know, it's you're going to want to play him in the 10 in some and want to play him off the left in others because of what we're up against and what we have to break through. Even a low block team, you know, don't block low in exactly the same way all the time. We're going to need him to hit the through balls through the middle, you know, in a tight defense from through balls wide and crosses wide from a tight defense. And when they're in a flat back, he's going to need to do the through balls, you know, with an eye for people that are running off of him. So I think it's going to be really interesting, especially against West Ham, man. You know, I'm hoping that match coming up after the international break is just absolute demolition.
Yeah. Apparently, Solanke has got an alumna infractable injured for 2 to 3 months. I mean,
It's annoying.
Deji, what is going on? What is going on?
Like, for me, how? I mean, what the hell? I mean, people were saying the curse of Spurs is back, and I didn't believe them because, you know, Solanke was not injured at Bournemouth. Like, the guy went through the whole bloody season, and now he's hardly touched the blade of grass this season, and he's bloody injured. I just can't stand it. I can't believe it. I'm so annoyed, man, because that is so unlucky. I really was excited at the fact that Solanke had to fight for his place. I thought that would be bringing the best out of him. What we don't want is for players to be guaranteed a spot. You know, I feel like Richarlison's playing as well as he is because he knows if he doesn't play well, Solanke's there that could come in.
Yeah.
With this injury now, that's the kind of psychological impact it could have on the squad.
Yeah.
I wonder if they go out and buy a striker now.
That's what I was just going to ask. That was going to be my next question. With Solanke being injured, surely we've got a very sort of lack of squad depth. If Richarlison gets injured now, where do we go? So
I think we go Bournemouth and Nielsen. And I think we go Bournemouth and get Ivan Nielsen. I think he's a good player, good hold-up player. He likes to press from the front, you know, or we bring in a Wissa. This is why that Wissa signing made sense, because had we brought in Wissa, that's the cover. And I think Thomas Frank talked about it yesterday, that they are aware of our injury record as a club and are trying to bring in enough players to make sure that we can cope. Because if we don't bring in this cover, you could find yourself with Scarlett, which I do like that in Scarlett, but I don't think he's ready for what we're trying to do this season.
No, I mean, I could see a Wissa happening, to be fair. Wissa and maybe a Kanji as well coming in on deadline day. What's your thoughts, Nick?
Just real quick on what Deji said, though. Does anybody know where Dane Scarlett is? You know, do we need a welfare check on him? Did he go out on loan again?
I don't know.
Like, seriously, where is he? Because I would at least say, keep him in the club in case of injuries right now, and he covers the homegrown. Yeah, but we haven't seen him anywhere in the last couple of months. But we can't just try to run through an entire season with one fit striker. There's no way.
No,
it's a suicide mission, man. I feel terrible for Solanke. We got to stop this old school mentality and training with lead balls, man. That's clearly what's going on, man. They got to stop that crap. Is the club going to be smart enough to pivot really quickly and throw down that kind of money on a number 9 right now? I just don't know, because it looks to me like they have a couple of other targets they're trying to get through. People mean football. Lookman can play left and striker. That's a shout, though, right there. Somebody who's got a lot of tricks in their bag, who's versatile like that. That may be what needs to happen. If it's really going to be 2 to 3 months on Solanke, I mean, that's bad. We're going to miss his hold-up play, as an alternate for Richarlison, man, because that's crucial right now. I'm gutted.
The only alternative is that they could put Pape Matar. I think they did it a couple of times pre-season. Pape Matar has got the kind of profile to do the hold-up play, and he likes to press anyway. And you just stick a Javi Simons right behind him. It could work. It's not ideal, but in terms of being difficult to break down and what we call stinking out the place, you could do that and get some dodgy 1-0 wins.
Certainly. And along that lines, man, I wouldn't be as worried if Kulusevski was fit and firing too.
Yeah.
Because he could do that as well in his own way. But he's still, he's not going to be out till the beginning of the year too. So we're left with months where we're still on the precipice again. Just one injury short of disaster.
A lot of people who say put Johnson as a striker, but I think rather than putting square pegs in round holes, we need to, as a club, be bringing in someone. Interesting as well, Jimbo, that Solomon is on the bench, which says to me that he's perhaps not going anywhere and we're going to keep him for this season.
I think with the injuries, I think that they probably will keep him, Kate. I've thought this for a while now. But I don't think they'll take a chance and let him go. I just got to say that if football's not corrupt, I don't know. Chelsea, Fulham scored a good goal, which was disallowed for a foul that wasn't a foul. Now, the same thing has happened the other way round, and they've just given Chelsea a penalty. I tell you what, it really makes you wonder about football. It really does. Anyway, sorry. It's just like just looking at it thinking, it's so wrong what's just happened. But look, I think they're gonna have to be careful who they sell, Kate, now, because we seem to be racking up the injuries, and I think so. Yeah, I think so. When he's on the bench, I think he'll end up staying. But we still need to buy at least 2 more players by Monday.
Yeah, I agree. Can I just pick up? There's a person in the chat who said Chance and Coob who says that Bergvall should have started today. Sorry, I got a friend called Guy whose missus is Swedish, so that's how you say Bergvall is Bergvall. I will say that I'm actually delighted with this lineup. The reason why I'm delighted with this lineup is Thomas Frank is showing Bournemouth the ultimate respect. That's the strongest first team that we can put out. What that tells me is that he's actually given Bournemouth a conundrum. We know that Bournemouth like to hit teams on the transition, but they don't know how to break a low block. So he said, well, break a low block. And that, for me, suits me fine. Bournemouth have the ball, and we hit them on the counter. And so for that, I think Thomas Frank is shown humility. He has shown his tactical nous to say, you know what, we're going to be a humble team. Doesn't matter the name of the team. Doesn't matter how big our name is. We go to each game with humility. And what's more important is the bloody 3 points. So big up Thomas Frank on that lineup, because that's a sign of respect. It means we're taking this game very, very serious.
Do you, Deji, going on that, do you see him playing as a 4-2-3-1 with Palhinha and Sarr just in front of the defence, and then Kudus, Bentancur, and is it Johnson that started? Yeah, and Johnson just in front of them, and then Richarlison as the lone striker up front? Or do you think he'll play 4-4-3?
Yes, it's going to be the 4-2-3-1. It will be Palhinha, Bentancur, Pape Sarr in the 10, Kudus, Johnson on the left, and Richarlison up front. Literally identical to the City game.
Yeah.
The only difference is, can Bournemouth break down a low block? They're not known for it. They struggle with that. But yeah, I think that's the way we're going to line up today. Yeah.
I mean, Bournemouth's got some good players. Let's just have a look at their lineup. They have got Petrovic in goal, Truffert, Senesi, Brooks, Scott, Evan-Nilsson, Adams, Smith, Tavernier, Diakate, does that say? Bloody hell, I think I need new glasses. And Semenyo with Dennis Christie, Gannon, Dueck, Adley, Cliver, Sola, Favre, Krupa Jr. and Hill on the bench. They've got some danger men in there. Semenyo, we all know what a great player he is. Senesi's good player. Evan-Nilsson, as Deji mentioned earlier, is a good player. Nick, anyone there that you worry about?
I mean, it's got Semenyo's the greatest threat of providing and scoring, I think, right there. And I'm a little bit worried about Pedro Porro. He's going to need help, without a doubt. So Frank better have a plan for that, and I'm sure he does. And I think it's probably help from the midfield. You know, it's the balls over the top that, you know, we get hit by, and he gets caught out a little bit late. He's not as fast as the man he's up against usually in these kind of situations. So that's what I'm worried about. But I'm much more confident than I was last season about we're dealing with a manager that is going to take that into account and actually try to do something about it.
The other thing is, which I hope is going to be an omen for our game today, is that Thomas Frank has actually never lost to Bournemouth.
Correct.
Really?
He's never lost. So, you know, he knows how he would set up his Brentford side. He's going to do the same today. And like I said, the formation's already asking a lot of questions of Bournemouth. You're going to have a lot of the ball today. Can you break down a low block and prevent Spurs from hitting you on the counter? Kudus is going to be the biggest threat today, because if he gets a sniff of space, he will exploit it. There's nothing that their left back can do. And we've got to remember that Bournemouth team lost 4 of their back 5, you know, so they're not gelled. I think there's cracks in that defence, and we could expose those cracks. I think Liverpool showed it, and I think there's enough in there to do that. I mean, Bournemouth are not PSG, and they're not Man City. So, and I'm not knocking Bournemouth, but I'm saying if we've been able to cope with those teams, we should be able to cope with Bournemouth today.
Yeah. Look, there's nearly 600 in, and we've only got 69 likes, which is outrageous. That is Timo Werner.
Literally 10%.
Exactly. So smash that like button, people. Jimbo, Udogie returns. He's on the bench today, obviously back fit at last. do you see him getting any minutes today? Obviously, it's tough on Spence if he comes in. What are you laughing at?
You never asked me if I was worried.
No, I'm not. I don't ask you anymore because you just say no. So, do you see Udogie getting any minutes today? Obviously, Spence has been playing out of his box. So,
I think depending on the score, Kate. I think depending on the score, if we're 2 or 3 up or up, yeah, I definitely see him getting a good half an hour. But if it's a really tight game, I'm not so sure if he will do. But it's nice to have him back. Look, I know Spence is playing out of his skin, but let's not knock Udogie. He's a good player, a very good player, and it's nice to have him back. He's a good player. You can bring on, and that's what we've needed. So now I'm pleased he's back. I think if it's a tight game, I'm not so sure, but I think if we're winning comfortably, yeah, he will get some time.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Spence. Mr. Spence.
I actually, I was wondering if Udogie maybe even fit enough to start today, and Spence starts out on the right. Not that I don't love Porro, which I do, but when you're dealing with Semenyo, I'd like to see Spence against Semenyo. He's the man, out in the socials saying, "Give me your wingers, man." He's just chalking them up. He's writing down their names, putting them in his back pocket, man. So I'm wondering if maybe if they're getting too much joy down our right side, if it's something, if he makes a shift like that, I wouldn't mind to see it at all. We're going to have to start rotating people in who are fit and qualified. We're going to have to start rotating them in like that. So regardless, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets minutes at the end, especially if we are comfortable right now. Switch, give Porro a rest, do something, switch it up a little bit.
I was saying I was of the opposite. Actually, I was saying that I actually don't want Udogie to come out today, simply because we've seen that when he was, look, I know if he does come out, they believe him to be ready, but I think an extra week, we've got an international break, let him have that week off and then come back for the game against West Ham next, fully 1,000% fit. It would be the worst thing knowing our luck for Udogie to come on and then come off. Do you know what I mean? I just go absolutely bonkers.
I can't disagree with that at all, man. Not at all.
I think, Deji, I think Frank's the type of manager that he won't just get him out, for no reason. I think he's going to be really careful with the injuries. He said that he's monitoring people's injuries really closely when they come back, and so I don't think he'll rush them out.
I was going to say, obviously, Spence got his first England call-up this week as well. So massively deserved. He's rapidly becoming my favourite player. I'm not going to lie. I think he's an absolute quality player. Deji, you a bit like me? I mean, I don't think he gets anywhere near the respect he deserves, this guy. He doesn't. I mentioned him on the terrace the other day and they laughed at me when I said that Spence, this guy is pocketed. Yeah, they laughed at me, the Chelsea fans. This guy is pocketing people left, right and centre. He made Man City look average, Doku and whatnot. I mean, what's your thoughts on Spence?
Well, the first thing, Kate, I want to say is you know your football. And a lot of these people on the terrace, they're just... I don't know. I think they're just content creators, to be honest with you, a bunch of actors. Look, I've known Spence since Nottingham Forest. I was one of the ones advocating for him. And even when things weren't going well, I kept staying positive with Spence. And I said, that is the sort of player we want, is a right back or a wing back that can beat a man. That's, and I said, so I'm delighted that Spence has been able to prove everyone wrong. I actually think he's the best wing back in probably in the Prem, whether that be on the left-hand side, right-hand side. He's that good. He's so good. He's actually he's called out players to say, come at me. Like, let's see what you can do. And that's a really confident player. So I'm delighted. I just think it's a bit, I question Conte slightly and I question Ange slightly. Like, you had this talent at your disposal and you didn't want to play him. And what was that? And then I look back at some of his history under Neil Warnock, people talking about his behavior, his attitude. I don't know where that's come from, because to get to where he is today, you have to have bloody good attitude and bloody great resilience, because at one stage, he looked like he was never going to wear a Spurs shirt ever again. And it would look like a waste of money. So the fact that he had the mentals to turn it around, I think he deserves this, and I hope he kicks on, and I hope he has an amazing season. The only thing I would say to Spence is, can he get some goals? I feel like, yeah, you're great with the 1v1, but modern day fullbacks, they do chip in with the 4 or 5 goals in the season. I would like to see that from Spence moving forward as a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, what about you, Nick? I saw you went to say something about our Mr. Spensational.
Listen, I love Spence. I was thrilled when he came into the club, but I'm not on the poor Spence train, as I've mentioned before in the past, because listen, the age for young men, especially young men with a lot of potential, the ages between 18 and 23 are the most dangerous right there. Your entire life can get screwed up because of your attitude, your arrogance, and a lack of focus. And you're talking about managers who have seen this happen in front of their faces on their squads for decades in front of them. And my thinking is that they took a look at Jed Spence and said, I don't want to deal with this in my club. I've got to deal with Tottenham. And that basket case right now. What do I got to deal with this kid with his attitude problem? He's got to sort himself out, make a couple of trips abroad and see what it's like out there, when he's not in his comfort zone, and come back. And if he's ready, he's ready. And the thing is, that does work sometimes. And it's working to me. He's working the arrogance out of his personality and putting it onto the pitch and saying, okay, you know what? This is part of me. I have confidence in myself, and I'm not going to make it a problem for my team. I'm going to make it a problem for the other team. That's what I'm seeing out of Jed Spence right now, and that's why I'm really excited. I back the guy, man. I back him 100%. But I understand it's not just a storybook journey for everybody. It's a grind for a lot of people, and it's been a grind for him.
Massive big up to Michael Hellman with a super chat. Thank you very much from Ben and Sim. Says Solanke out. Why can't we have some good news for more than one day? Big up everyone. Let's smash Bournemouth. Come on, you Spurs. It does sort of feel like that sometimes as a Tottenham fan. You have this massive buzz day of signing Javi Simons, and then the next day you find out Solanke's out for 2 to 3 months.
Well, no, it doesn't say that online. It says that it's to do with the ankle injury he got in pre-season. And it's precautionary, so it doesn't say he's got a bad injury unless that's late, what I saw. But regarding Solanke, Kay, what did I say to you last week about the England squad?
I don't know.
I said to you, if he doesn't get in here, it'd be an injustice.
Crime. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Because if anyone that I've seen in the
about Spence. Yeah, I thought you said Solanke. Sorry, go on.
So, Spence, I said to you, if he doesn't get in the English squad, it's going to be an injustice. So he should be in there. He is absolutely a phenomenal player. And what a lot of people forget is that he come to Spurs, right? And he's a young kid, and he just needs to be brought along with the right manager. And I think Angle's good for him. I don't think Angle's bad for him. I think that he did put an arm around him. It was a bit heartbreaking when he was playing so well and Udogie come back and he took him out. But that was wrong. But look, Frank's a great manager with youngsters, so he will bring him on. And he seems like a really, really nice kid to me. There's nothing about him that I've looked at in interviews. We watched one with him this morning, Kate, you and me. He just comes over as a nice, quiet young man. He doesn't come over as arrogant, mouthy. He just seems a nice kid. So see what happens if people say something and it gets round and then it gets exaggerated, And I think they were totally wrong about Spence.
Go ahead, Deji. Go ahead.
The only thing I would say about Ange is it was very clear that he had his favourites. I remember the press conference that said, Jed Spence is, I'm paraphrasing there, but he basically plays until Udogie comes back, which I think is totally unfair. And I love what Thomas Frank is doing, which is you have to earn your right to start, And he said it. He said it yesterday. He said Richarlison starts until he doesn't start. Do you get what I'm saying? So you got to win your shirt, and that's what. There's nothing more. You got to give footballers, especially young footballers, hope. So I don't know. If you know that as soon as Udogie comes back, you're going to be benched, then why do you give your all? Why are you going to break your back? Why are you going to put in these performances if it's going to be overlooked anyway? And I feel like that's where Ange slightly let me down there. And also, but moving forward, I think, Spurs do good. Like Tony needs to calm down, right? Tony needs to calm down because he's saying that I should shut up. isn't Jed Spence played better than Udogie for the whole of last season? So unless you're Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder and you can't see out of your 4 eyes, that is the actual truth. Yeah. So calm yourself down where you're sitting there in your underwear and you're bashing away at the keyboard. Relax yourself, mate. Because what we're doing is we're talking about our club and the players who deserve to start, and you need to start if you're playing well. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Tony's gone now, so he can go and bother someone else. So we've swatted Tony away. I don't understand why people come in and just act like, well, they probably are children, to be fair. But I think you firmly put him in his place there, Deji, to be honest. Another one, Jimbo, that you've got to say has been a massive improvement under Thomas Frank, and probably one of the players of the pre-season. Sarr obviously gets the nod again. A lot of people used to say, I've heard a lot of people say he's not really a footballer, he's more of an athlete. But I think this season so far, he's proved this guy is a baller.
I said, when Sarr came in and we watched the season of Sarr, I said he will never make it at Tottenham, right? I remember saying that to you, Kate. And I can stand in there and say I was completely wrong. I thought he was too lightweight. I thought he was going to be another Brian Hill, but I was wrong. He's what a player, phenomenal. He's been absolutely fantastic pre-season and since the season started. So yeah, he put me in the mud. Yeah, I mean,
not for the first time.
No. And it won't be the last either, I promise you. I was wrong, and he's turned out to be a fantastic footballer. And what an engine on him! I mean, him and Spence, both of them have got engines on them like it's no tomorrow. They're just unbelievable. Yeah, we're lucky to have them both.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Deji, you nodded when I said about people saying that he's just an athlete. He's not really a footballer. I mean, Sarr this pre-season and at the start of this season has looked brilliant.
Yeah, no, the thing is, the modern day footballer, you've got to have a bit of both. That's the truth. You've got to be able to play ball and have a little bit of technique, and you've got to be able to run. I would say Pape Sarr is as important for us as Declan Rice is for Arsenal. That's why Arsenal fans shake their bum for Declan Rice, is because he can get around the pitch. And you know what made the game so comfortable last week. You know the problem is the likes of Pape Sarr's, their work rate kind of goes under the radar sometimes because they're running around, maybe not really doing much on the ball, but what they are doing is putting a lot of pressure on the opposition. And people are more likely to celebrate the goal scorers and the stuff that's going on the wing. But now you need a player like Pape Sarr in a team that wants to be fighting towards the top of the table. And I'm just delighted for him again. You know, under Conte, it was a bit hit and miss. Under Ange, again, a bit hit and miss. You know, some of these players do deserve a run out. And he's taking his opportunity by the scruff of the neck, and he's playing fantastic football. And I think he might be one of the players to look out for the season. Breakthrough season could be Pape Sarr, and he could be a mainstay for us moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick, I was going to say something to you and I've completely forgot what it was. So I'm going to say that when I was speaking to Terry on the terrace, he said if Sarr carries on the way he's playing, he could well be in for the team of the year if he can keep up that performance all year. I mean, how impressed have you been with our star boy?
I mean, it was never in doubt for me, man. I know a lot of people were on his back. I just did not understand it. You know, I was very, very worried over the last 2 seasons, though, that we were going to see a situation where we have such a talented player, but the team, we're dealing with managers who are trying to force players into their system. Certainly Conte was all about that. Certainly Ange was about his system. He tried to be a little flexible with his selection, but how Sarr fit into his midfield was a little bit puzzling, and I was worried that we were going to sell him because it didn't make sense to who's ever directing the football club. Frank, we got a manager who's looking at his players and trying to get the best out of them in whatever system that he thinks is the best for the opposition right now. And Sarr's got it. You know, he's got it. Frank is flexible enough to bring creativity from other places than the 10 and put solidity, tenacity, interception ability, tackling right up front, man. And Sarr's he's never backed out. You know, he never shies away. He never doesn't want the ball. Mm-hmm. He's made some bad passes. Sometimes it doesn't work out for him, but he's always looking to move forward. that's what I love about him, man. And I think, I get worried again with everybody else is, as we bring in high quality players, is he going to get marginalized out somewhere? And I just don't think it's possible. I think right now the problem is you got to have him. Where do you put him? If you're playing Simons in the 10, where does Sarr fit in? That's a conundrum for Frank for me right now.
The one thing I would say is I don't even think it's a conundrum for Frank in the sense of, and I'm not knocking it in a negative way. I feel like we've got so many games, Champions League, Premier League, and what we want is for the players to have enough minutes. And that's what we're going to be able to offer as a club this season. The other thing is that there will be, I think Thomas Frank is adept enough to say, this game doesn't require you, Simons. This game doesn't require you, Pape Sarr. But this is just a one or two games maybe. I just get the sense from him that he's just going to do the right thing at the moment in time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not so sure. Does Javi Simons start if we had got him earlier today? Given what I was saying about Bournemouth needing to be on the front foot for us to hit them on the counter, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. These are interesting conundrums. And if we don't know, the opposition managers don't know, and that is the surprise element that I think we can do more than any other club that is going to bring more success than not for Spurs this season.
Yeah, and that's how a top flight club that's run well with a top manager is supposed to be acting. There should not be a nailed on starting 11. There should be pieces of a puzzle that you use when needed.
Exactly. Big up Moondog with a super chat. Thank you very much. Big up Kate, Jimbo and panel. Come on, you Spurs. Exactly that. Go on, Jim. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, Deji's 100% right. We need more than one player in these positions. Otherwise it's not going to work this season, with the games we've got coming up. So it's a nice headache for Frank to have which one he's going to play. They were talking about having 2 10s. They've got 2 now.
Yeah, exactly that. We're going for 3 wins from 3 games against Bournemouth today, which will be nice. Frank has never lost to Iriola, manager to manager. Just quickly as well, just to announce, I'm sure people probably seen it on Twitter, our first Champions League game is Tuesday the 16th of September at home to Villarreal. So Champions League is back. The music will be played at the stadium, which is just the most goosebump moment, I think, when you hear that Champions League music at the stadium. Tuesday, the 16th of September, we are back playing Villarreal in our first Champions League game, which, look, I mean, it's a stupid question, but Deji, how good does it feel to be back in the Champions League?
Hey, you know me very well. We've known each other now, I think, like 2 seasons. This is what I've always wanted for Spurs. I want to see my club against the very best in world football. The fact that we're playing, we've got another crack at PSG, bring it on. We got Dortmund. But that's what I want. I want to see a Lamine Yamal. I want to see Real Madrid and Mbappe, in Tottenham. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, just seeing the draw, seeing that we're there, seeing that we're going to have the music, goosebumps, I feel like we are back where we belong. I feel like sometimes Spurs fans downplay how big we are as a club. No, we deserve to be at this table. That should be the minimum aim every season. I hated the Europa Conference League in terms of a competition. I'm delighted we won it. But none of the games really got me, feeling, but these games do already. Just looking at the fixtures, I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. Nick, you feeling the same?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. Once that music goes on that first match on the 16th, that's when I'll really, be back in the mindset that we are a top club.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I'm with Deji. The Europa League's great, but we should be winning that, man. It shouldn't have been as difficult as it was in some places because we know that these players are better than our league performance showed last season, man. And I get worried that about the administration and what they're going to do when we do edge it into the Champions League sometimes. Are they going to, provide what's needed to not make us look silly? I feel a lot better, man. I feel better than I did probably, under Poch a few times when we were in the Champions League going in there right now because of who we brought in right now and the progressive moves that we're making.
Yeah, I mean, Go on, Nick. Sorry.
Well, so my question is, it kind of naturally where it leads into is the league position question. Yeah, I don't want the two questions that are always this time of year are always, where do you think we're going to finish, and how do you rate the transfer season right now? I don't necessarily want to dig into that cesspool just yet, but it's right now it feels like the club is trying to nail on Champions League for next season right now. And I think that is a very admirable goal, despite all the nonsense. You don't get a trophy for fourth place. Forget it. We dropped so far down. We have to be trying to nail Champions League next season and perpetually, as much as we can going forward. And, the players can only do so much with that, man. Really, they're not in charge of how this club is run,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was going to say when Thomas Frank came, I was obviously excited. Then I watched the pre-season. And I said to Jim, I'm really getting Poch vibes from this guy. But all of a sudden, with the way the club have behaved, I mean, bringing in Paulinho, Kudus, and now Javi Simons, I kind of feel like we're elevating above that. And already I think expectations are going to go up with it. I mean, Poch had us playing some wonderful football, and I never thought we would lose to anyone under Pochettino, I've got to be honest. And we had a fantastic squad. But I just feel maybe that there's a shift in the club that like you say, they want to get us up there. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this, Jimbo, because we've said it before, but it just feels like things have changed a little bit.
Do you know something, Kate? Well, we are a massive club. I don't give a shit what anyone says, right? We are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and that is just a fact, right? And I'm telling you now, this manager is going to elevate us. I am so convinced about this guy. I've been watching football for a lot of years, right? And this manager knows what he's doing. I'm telling you, he's better than Poch as a manager. 100%. This guy, he does his homework. He doesn't leave no stone unturned. His organisation and as a tactician, he's second to none. I wouldn't swap him, right, for anybody. Yeah. I love this guy, and I think he's going to take his places.
I think I love Jim. I'm with you 1,000%. I was unsure at first, and then I sat back and said, you know what? Just because of where you come from doesn't mean that is going to have an impact on where you're going. Sometimes you just need to be given a chance. And he's got his big break at Spurs, and I don't think he's gonna mess around with that. The only thing I'm doing at the moment is because of the PTSD of last season, where I joked in November we could lose 18 games, and then actually saw us physically lose 22 in the Prem. Is that I am just ticking off each game week by week. So far I'm doing a countdown. 37 more games to go. I am really hopeful Thomas Frank can get it over the line today. If he does, I'm that step closer to shaking my bum violently.
We do love to see Deji shake his bum violently.
Make sure you post that if that does happen.
Oh, he does. If you haven't seen it yesterday, Deji's stream in the morning, he does a rap about Manchester United to Smooth Criminal, and it is hilarious. Honestly, I was crying. It is so funny. But yeah, look, a lot of Man United fans are now saying we should have gone for Frank. But at the time, apparently, they were saying he's not good enough to manage Man United. So, Nick, look, you never know what's going to happen to you. Let's be fair.
I think, you never know what's going to happen, except that whatever Man United fans are sure of, just bet on the opposite right now. I mean, that's it. Long as I put in yesterday on your stream, man. I hope Ratcliffe just keeps on turning it into Manchester's biggest donut factory.
Exactly. Exactly.
I actually have a lot of Man U fans, friends who are Man U fans too. So I don't want to dunk on them too hard right now because they are in severe pain.
But you know what? We had years of them giving it to us when they were winning everything.
Yeah. I don't feel bad for them. I
don't. Look, it's coming to that time where apparently, before I carry on, Thomas Frank's come out and said that Solanke's ankle injury is still grumbling, whatever that means. That's why he's not in the squad today. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. Otherwise, we could see Tell as the backup to Richarlison as our number 9. But it's coming to that time of the show where we need to know score predictions and also who is going to score for the mighty Spurs. Nick, I'll come to you first. What do you fancy for the game and who's going to score for Spurs? Oh, hello.
Oh,
We're going to get a demo. He did this the other day and he was showing me the back of his shirt.
Oh, what I miss? I had an equipment fail there. Something hilarious
Oh,
happened.
your equipment actually failed. I thought you was getting a whole presentation ready.
Oh, no. You thought a PowerPoint was coming out or something like that.
I did. What's the score going to be today, Nick? And who's going to score the goal?
Listen, I've been back and forth on this all week, man. I'm going 3-1 to Tottenham. You know, I think we're not going to keep Semenya is going to break down something at some point in time, but I think we're going to deal with it handily. I've been a little bit worried about my confidence level, and I've been going a 1-1, 2-1. I'm up to a 3-1 right now, man. Just with the boost going into this game, it's a home game. We're bringing in quality. I think there's going to be a lot of positivity in the squad right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going 3-1.
3-1 for Nick. Yeah, Johnson again. Ole. Semenyo's the only one. Only worry, may concede, but 2-0 Sarr and Richie. 3-0 Richie, Sarr and Van der Ven. 3-0 we keep a clean sheet. I also had starred a couple of others that had said their scores. 4-1 says Terry Betts and Gaza. Oh, we could do with a Gaza in there. Says 3-0 Spurs. Deji, what are your thoughts on the game today?
Yeah, no, I've been to and fro, and I actually think we could get a clean sheet. I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah.
I actually think Richarlison scores because I feel like this is going to be Richarlison's best season at Spurs club so far. So I think for that to happen, he will need to score today. And I think Kudus is due a goal. I don't think Kudus is going to be prolific this season. I think he'll score maybe 8 goals. I think we'll be lucky to get 10 goals out of him. But I think he could score today, though. So I'm going 2-0 Spurs.
So exactly the same as Danny Coy's, 2-0 Richie and Kudus.
Yep.
I did a prediction on Tuesday, and I normally chop and change, but I'm sticking with it. And I'm going for a nail-biting 3-2 Spurs win because I know how good Semenya was against Liverpool. So I'm going to give them a bit of credit. But I'm going to go Johnson again, ole to get one. I'm going to do Richie to get one. And I'm going to do Romero to get one. A nice header from a corner. Yogi Bear says 5-0. Richie with 2, Johnson with 1, Sarr with 1, Porro with 1. I love it. Yeah. Evo Tastic says 5-1 to Spurs. Richie is an example of how Frank's influence works. Yep, agreed. We're already 1-0 up thanks to Johnson. Jimbo, what do you fancy for today's game?
A clean sheet. I think 3 clean sheets on a row, and it's going to be 3 wins on a row. We're going to be top of the league, 4-0. Johnson 2 and Richie 2.
Johnson 2, Richie 2. Excellent. Yep. Every time Johnson scores, we all know the whole fan base sings Johnson again, ole, which is what we love to see. Nick, thank you as always for joining. It's always a pleasure to have you from New York City. What's going on with you? Anything? Are you anywhere? Anything happening online?
I'm everywhere and nowhere at once right now. But actually, man, I'm jumping off real quick from here to help Dave, the man himself, Harris, with his watch along today because Jacko is out doing other things. So if anybody's interested, hit the We Are Tottenham TV watch along, but do a little bounce. Support your favorite content creators. Do a little bounce back and forth, man. YouTube doesn't mind.
Exactly. Go on over and support the Irish Hotspur. We do love Dave and Jack over there. So thank you, Nick, for coming. Deji, what's going on over at Deji Spurs apart from that on a daily basis?
Yes. I'll be rapping. No, just kidding. Yeah, I'm going to do a watch along as well. So yeah, we're going to go and set up for that now. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll bring on the 3 points, and then I'll jump on the terrace soon after.
Yeah, I can't do that today because I'm on Chris Cowling's after doing the podcast after there. So you'll have to represent Deji and shake your bum violently if we win. But make sure you go over and subscribe to Deji. Jimbo and I are back next week. Not sure if we'll do Monday because obviously it's transfer deadline day and the whole world and his wife will be online, but we'll be back next week. And like I say, I'm on Chris Cowling's at 5. Thank you very much to everyone watching. Thank you to the 2 super chatters, Michael Hellman and also Moondog. Sim and Josh are live after this doing the watch along from 1:45. Unfortunately, it's not on the television. People keep asking what side. It's the 3:00 blackout, so it's not on the telly, but you can watch them watch the game, and make sure you go over to the Irish Hotspur and also to Deji and watch them watch the game as well, because I love everyone's watch alongs. You know that Dave is going to come out with random songs, which when Dave has got a voice like Dave, it's kind of something you've really got to hear to believe. And then Deji, you know, what can you say about Deji? He's a bit like Expressions. He can roast anything and anyone. So we want to see more of that. But thank you both of you for being on, Jimbo, obviously. And thanks to everyone for watching. Enjoy the game. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.
Hang on, I've got to press outro now.